from BSIT Part Year. I was assigned to discuss project risk management. The subtopics that I will discuss today are the following: importance of project risk management planning, common sources of risk on IT projects, risk identification, qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, risk response planning, risk monitoring and control, using software to assist in project risk management. Before we proceed, let us first define what is project risk management. When we say project risk management, a process whereby decisions are made to accept, known or assess risk and or the implementation of actions to reduce the consequences or probability of occurrence. It is the art and science of identifying, assessing, and responding to project risks throughout the life of a project and in the best interest of its objectives. Here is the operational process of project risk management. First is identify risk assess and analyze, plan action, implement, and the last is measure, control, and monitor. Here are some of the terminologies we will encounter in the discussion. First is risk, an uncertain event or condition that if it occurs has a positive or negative effect on the project objectives. Risk map or heat map. It analyzes values are plotted across the chart based on their risk levels, which is the output of the risk analysis. Risk register. It is an exhaustive list of all risks, identify the root causes and consequences, and were the actions taken to address it. The importance of project risk management. 1. It plays a key role in achieving the project's objective. 2. Essential in selecting good projects, determining project scope, and developing realistic estimates. 3. It identifies and keeps stakeholders fully informed about possible risk events and conditions. The risk management planning. The process of defining how to conduct risk management activities for a project. First is identify the risk, analyze the risk, plan for risk, and last, take an action. Here's the sample of risk management plan. And here are the common sources of risk on IT project. First is integration, scope, time, cost, quality, human resource, communications, risk, procurement, and last is stakeholders. Risk identification, process requirement. All risks are considered with the necessary level of detail. The results are consistent and reproducible. They can be understood by a third party. Its results are the same when different persons identify the risk in the same context. The results of repeated risk identification are comparable. Here are the risk categories. First is operational risk, budget risk, schedule risk, technical environment risk, business risk, programmatic risk, information security risk, technology risk, supplier risk, resource risk, infrastructure risk, technical and architectural risk, quality and process risk, project planning, project organization. Here are some of the project risk categories with its corresponding basis. First is budget risk. Is the funding for the project secure? Are the costs of the project assets are stable? Scope risk. Is the project scope defined and agreed? Are the requirements stable? Personal risk. Does the team communicate within itself with other groups? Do they have required skills? Schedule risk, the effort duration estimate realistic? Are these estimates acceptable? Are scheduled activities and deliverables on track? Technical risk, are the technologies and tools well understood? Are required environment available? Are they insufficient for each requirement? Quality risks, are the software requirements well understood by the team and affected persons? Is the software test capable of meeting the objects of the project? Here is the qualitative and quantitative analysis. Qualitative analysis. It is the descriptive set of attributes to qualify potential consequences and the possible chances that will occur. This is approach by practice will need further explanation to justify a risk position in this type of assessment, albeit an easy practice to assert risk. Here is the qualitative risk analysis example. And here is the qualitative risk analysis. Qualitative analysis, it provides a measurable level of understanding of risk by using a numerical set of attributes to determine its consequences. This may require extensive use of time and resources, which is one of the project constraints across all phases. Here is a quantitative risk analysis example. Qualitative requires no calculations, involve high degree of guesswork, provides general areas of indication risk, does not allow cost-benefit analysis based on opinions of individuals, eliminates the opportunity to create a dollar value for cost-benefit analysis, hard to develop a security budget from the results. Quantitative, thus more complex calculation, mathematical, statistical calculation, use independently verification, objective metrics, allow cost-benefit analysis. It's easier to automate, use risk management, performance tracking without the risk response planning. Strategy for risk, exploit, enhance, share, accept. Strategy for negative risk, avoid, mitigate, transfer, accept. And here is the risk response plan. Inputs, project scope statement to cost management plan, schedule management plan, communication management plan, enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets, tools and techniques, planning meetings and analysis, outputs, risk and management plan. Risk monitoring and control. Risk monitoring, checking actual and likely progress against planned progress, tracking progress to date. Risk control, making changes to plan if necessary, altering the schedule, escalating problems, issues if necessary, taking to avoid bigger future problems. Monitoring and controlling processes group. The key benefit of each process group is that project performance is observed and measured regularly to identify variance from the project management plan. The monitoring and controlling process group also includes, for the example, controlling changes and recommending preventive action in anticipation on possible problems, monitoring ongoing project activities against the project management plan performance baseline, influencing factors that could determine integrated change control so that only approved changes are implemented. And this is the framework for managing risk. Risk register, it is an exhaustive list of all risks identified, their root causes, consequence, and their what were the action taken to address it. Should be updated constantly throughout the life cycle of the project. Example of risk register. Spreadsheets can aid in tracking and quantifying risk. You can purchase add-ons for Excel Project 2010 to perform simulations. This is the example of the spreadsheets. Simulation tools. It is a method used by business to understand and manage risk and uncertainty. This is the example of Monte Carlo simulation tools. This is the chart examples. the risk management process: identification, assessment, mitigation, monitoring, and That's all po, Doc. Thank you po.
Okay, to give you some additional inputs for the discussion. So our presenter mentioned about the use of project risk management. Again, I just want to reiterate once again that project risk management is the art and science of identifying, analyzing, and responding to risk throughout the life of a project and in the best interest of meeting project objectives. So a frequently overlooked aspect of project management, risk management can often result in significant improvement in the ultimate success of projects. So, for example, you are 5 in a group. Then one of your member resign or leave the group. So what will be your risk management? For example, you have listed already different hardware and software required for the project. Then one of your clients decided to choose, instead, for example, of i7, they choose i9. So what will be your project risk management? So at this time of pandemic, so as you can see, you have a project already, you have a schedule of delivery of your project. But since due to pandemic, there are some employees doesn't able to deliver the report, their task. So what will be your project risk management? So what you're going to do? Okay, so again, the good project risk management often goes unnoticed, unlike crisis management project. So the crisis in turns receive the interest of the entire project item. Resolving a crisis has much greater visibility, often accompanied by rewards from management than successful risk management. Of course, in contrast, when risk management is effective, it results in fewer problems. And for the difficult for outside observers to tell whether risk management or lack was responsible for the smooth development of a new system. But project teams will always know that their project worked out better because of good risk management. That's why all industries, especially the software development industry, tend to neglect the importance of project risk management. Actually, 38% or 38 organizational participating in the opening study a while ago divided into 4 industry groups: engineering, construction, telecommunication, information system, or software development, and high-tech manufacturing. Okay. Now, again, as the presenter mentioned, that risk is an uncertainty. Yes, of course, that can have a negative or positive effect on meeting project objectives. Projects, by virtue of their unique nature, involve risk, and many organizations do a poor job of project risk management. So if they do any at all, successful organizations realize the value of good project risk management, because risk management is an investment. That is, there are costs associated with identifying risks, analyzing those risks, and establishing plans to address those risks. So those costs must be included in cost schedule and resource planning. The risk utility or risk tolerance is the amount of satisfaction or pleasure received from a potential payoff. And risk seekers enjoy high risk. High averse people do not like to take risk. And risk neutral people seek to balance risk and potential payoff rather. The project risk management is a process in which the project team continually assesses what may negatively or positively impact the project, no? Determines the probability of such events occurring. And determine the impact should such events occur. It is also involves analyzing and determining alternative strategies to deal with risk, no? A while ago, he presented the 6 main processes involved in risk management. We have the risk management planning, identification, qualitative risk analysis, quantitative risk analysis, response planning, risk monitoring, and control. The risk management planning is the process of deciding how to approach and plan for risk management activities for a particular project. A risk management plan is a key output of the risk management planning process, and risk register is the key output of the other risk management processes. Another thing is the contingency plan, no? Contingency plan in case of emergency are defined action that a project risk management processes, no? Or a project team will take if identify risk event occurs. So fallback plans are developed to risk that have a high impact on meeting project's objectives and are implemented if attempts to reduce the risk are not effective. Contingency reserves or contingency allowance are provisionally held by the project sponsor or organization to reduce the risk of cost, no? Especially scheduled overruns to an acceptable level. IT projects often involve several risks: lack of user involvement, lack of executive management support, unclear requirements for planning, and so on. List developed by the Standish Group and other organizations can help you identify potential risks on information technology projects. A risk breakdown structure is a useful tool that can help project managers consider potential risks in different categories. Again, work breakdown structure risk is important. Another thing, list a common risk condition in project management knowledge areas can also be helpful in identifying risk, as can information gathering techniques such as brainstorming, the Delphi techniques, interviewing, and SWOT analysis. A risk register is a document that contains results of various risk management processes, often displayed in a table or a spreadsheet format. It is a tool for documenting potential risk events and related information. Risk event refers to specific uncertain events that may occur or the detriment or enhancement of the project. Risk can be assessed qualitatively and quantitatively. Okay? Tools for qualitative risk analysis include a probability impact matrix and the top 10 risk item tracking techniques. So tools for quantitative risk analysis include decision trees and Monte Carlo simulations. Expected monetary value. No, I will add your group mates. Tool for qualitative risk analysis include decision trees, as I mentioned, right? Expected monetary value uses decision trees to evaluate potential project based on their expected value. Simulations are a more sophisticated method for creating estimates to help you determine the likelihood of meeting specific project schedule or cost goals. Sensitivity analysis is used to show the effects of changing one or more variables on an outcome. We have a 4 basic response, not to risk are like avoidance, acceptance, transference, and mitigation. When we say risk avoidance, it involves eliminating a specific threat or risk. When we say risk acceptance, it means that accepting the consequence of a risk. should it occur. So risk transference is shifting the consequence of risk and responsibility for its management to a third party. While the risk mitigation is reducing the impact of a risk event by reducing the probability of its occurrence. The 4 basic response strategies for positive risk are risk exploitation, risk sharing, risk enhancement, and risk acceptance. So risk monitoring and control involves executing the risk management processes and the risk management plan to respond to risk. Now, output of the process include requested changes, recommended corrective and preventive actions, and updates to the risk registers, project management plan, and organizational process asset. And of course, as what we did on our previous lesson, and as what we discussed, that we have several types of software that can assist now in project risk management. As what we discussed earlier, the Monte Carlo based simulation software is a particularly useful tool for helping get a better idea of project risk and top sources of risk on the risk drivers. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So don't forget to take your quiz later during your asynchronous time.